For those English speakers, we are providing English Spanish translation. Sorry, Spanish English translation. For that, you can select the interpretation button. Is just in the right bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you go down, you can find a globe icon. You choose the language you want, and okay. This webinar will be doing in Spanish, but we provide you English translation. So you can find this invitation channel at the bottom of your Zoom. Para aquellos que están entrando, vamos a
So
esperar.
to those that are just joining, we are going to wait for about a minute while we wait for more people to join. I'm letting everyone know that the webinar is going to be in Spanish, but we do have Spanish-English translation. In order to activate it, you will find an icon that looks like a globe, and there you can select the language that you want to listen to.
Let's wait 1 minute. And let me try to share the screen right now. Ok. Muchas gracias a todos por juntarse. Me gustaría escuchar.
Thank you, everyone, for joining to today's session. I would like to know where you're joining from. You can write in the chat where you are. I'm in Venezuela, for example.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, there is caption in English and audio in English. If you want to see the captions, you can activate them or not. If you want to deactivate it, you can go to the top part of your Zoom and you can select simultaneous translation.
Bottom is similar to a globe. It's just in the bottom side of your Zoom screen, and you can select Spanish English translation, and you can find in that room our friend Claudia will provide you an excellent English translation for you. Okay. Yo creo que entonces es buena.
Okay, so I think that we can start. And without further ado,
¿Estás registrando esta sesión en español? Muchas gracias por
so
la ayuda.
Laura, can you record the session? And Daniela, please. So welcome to the third webinar of the World Migratory Birthday Art and Artist with the topic of conservation, dim the lights for birds at night. And today we have a very special webinar because we have the opportunity of sharing one of the most important pillars of the project of this global company, which is art. And also we're going to have the opportunity of getting to know the artist that is going to be that is the one that designed the posters for this year, and he's connecting from Peru. Also, we want to remind all participants to mute their microphones, please, until the Q&A session, where you're going to be able to open your mic to ask a question, or you can use the chat box to write your questions there during the presentation, and we'll answer them at the end. So we will begin. Welcome, everyone. My name is Miguel Mata. I'm a coordinator for World Migratory Birthday in Latin America, so you can get in touch with me to coordinate the program in South America. Also, we have our colleagues Laura Babula, who's the coordinator in the Caribbean, Daniela Sousa, who's the coordinator in Mexico, and Leticia Andino, who's the coordinator in Central America. Like, if you participated in these webinars before, then you already know that the World Migratory Bird Day is a global celebration that is the biggest one in the planet. And it is a campaign, mainly educational one, that focuses on creating or raising awareness about the problems that the birds face and how people can help them, doing simple actions to be able to conserve them in any place in the world that we are. So the World Migratory Bird Day is an alliance, a global alliance that includes colleagues like the Agreement on Conservation of African Eurasian Migratory Water Birds and the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals. So they help us promote this campaign in different languages across the world. The World Migratory Bird Day celebrates the beautiful phenomenon of migration throughout the world. We acknowledge that there are three main flyways that the migratory birds use, and they try to find the best places to survive throughout the stations. We have the Americas Flyway, the African Eurasian Flyway, and the Australasian Flyway. So we are giving you key information that you've probably heard in the previous webinars. So we recommend that you can check, if in case you haven't seen the previous webinars, you can go to our YouTube channel where we have the recordings of the previous sessions in both English and Spanish. And a piece of key information that we mention a lot are the dates. We acknowledge two official dates, which is the second Saturday in May, which is very soon, and the second Saturday of October. However, we know that birds don't only migrate during those dates. So basically, we want to motivate people to continue celebrating their educational programs anytime during the year. Every year, the theme of the Migratory Bird World Day has a theme, and this is with the purpose of having a call to action to mitigate the problems that affect birds, and so we can disseminate information about the great secrets that these birds have to share with us. I want to share with you some of the examples of the posters that we've had in previous years and how each of them represent a very important conservation theme for the birds. So we're celebrating the World Migratory Bird Day since 1998, approximately, when it was officially formalized, the International Migratory Bird Day. This program was kept like this until 2018, when it changes the name thanks to the alliance with the UN, and now we call it the Migratory Bird World Day. So this is in order to know what are the conservation aspects and the problems that are related to birds. So these are themes that we've shared in the past. For example, we've mentioned how the migration of this falcon has connected us around the world. Dejé de escuchar. So For example, we also mentioned the importance of the ecosystems in North America and Canada, and we've also covered different themes like the changing worlds and the problems of climate change. Other themes have covered the problems that the birds face from the north to the tropics. This was a conservation theme from previous years, and other themes have motivated international cooperation. For example, in 2010, the conservation theme was the power of partnerships. So this was a theme that invited us to collaborate beyond the borders of our countries. Go Wild, Go Birding was a very interesting theme in which we motivated youth to explore the gardens and nature around to celebrate the World Migratory Birthday. Most recently, in the last couple of years, we've been sharing art that has evolved in different ways. For example, in 2013, we mentioned the importance of studying migratory birds as a life circle, so throughout their lives. And also our next theme was why birds matter. For example, they are pollinators, they help spreading seeds, and they also help with plague control. Then we had the habitat restoration, and also stopover sites was also a theme that we've explored in the past. And lastly, in the last 5 years, the campaign of the World Migratory Birthday has had a growing participation of the community in Latin America and the Caribbean. We started to expand the program actively in 2018 when the name was changed to World Migratory Birthday. This happened in 2018, and from there, art has evolved to become more global to the point that today art does not only reflect a single flyway, but it reflects the three flyways. We've also talked about plastic pollution in 2019 and also how birds connect our world and how technology has allowed us to identify this flyway. And in 2021, the conservation theme was seeing flies soar like a bird, which was very interesting because people found themselves in lockdown situations because of the pandemic. So this theme was to focus in the songs of the birds so they could listen to them. So we think that it helped a lot of people to find happiness during these very difficult times. And also, now in 2022, dim the lights for birds at night with the theme of this year. And what we wanted to share in this slide, it's an overexposure of the flyways of the birds in these three great flyways that I showed you in the map before, but also in yellow, you're going to see the cities lit up at night. And it is easy to realize that many of the migratory birds are going or flying across sites that are lit up at night. So for example, in North America, in the east side it has a lot of lit spots if we compare it to other sites like the Amazon, for example. And so even though maybe there is not that much light pollution, it can still have negative effects, even if it's at a small scale. And that's why we've designed this campaign for this year for migratory birds to highlight how light pollution is affecting mostly birds that migrate at night or night birds overall. And this year, Each of these species that you see in the poster of the World Migratory Bird Day in the Americas, they're here for a reason, and the reason being that there is research out there that supports the evidence that these species are being highly affected by light pollution. So specifically about those details, for example, as of where they are, how they are affected, what are their characteristics, and how we can use them in our educational programs, we're going to discuss in next week's webinar by Catherine Rubiano. She's going to talk about the life of these species with a lot more detail, and it's going to be our last one. So please attend so you can get to know the details of each of these species. And so this year we are very happy. I would like for people that are attending the webinar, can you please keep your microphones muted? So as I was saying, every year we select an artist that is the one who is going to design our image for the year. So we are very proud to have an illustrator from South America. His name of 2022 artist is Omar Custodio, and he's going to be talking a little bit about his experience illustrating these birds along with the team. Each bird from the World Migratory Bird Day has a particular position, and we gave information to Omar so he could draw them in this way because each of them is looking at the audience. So we see them flying directly towards us. So that is in order to catch the attention of the public and make sure that we let them know that this problem does not only affect birds, but people as well. Just to give you an example, this year we have Markham storm petrel, which is a seabird that basically most of its life it spends in open waters. And we can find it from Central America to South America. And it is very interesting because it has this type of behaviors in which it taps the surface of the water with its legs, and that way it can create, or it can cause the zooplankton to rise from the water, and that's how it feeds itself. So this species is in open waters for most of its life, but to breed, it travels to desertic areas like in Ecuador, Peru, or Chile and Bolivia, where it can find caves or cavities in very dry areas, and that's where it nests. And in that trajectory from going to the open areas in the ocean to their breeding area, they come across with light pollution, which is really affecting them. And it's becoming a great problem, for example, in Chile. And that's why we decided to have this species as an emblem of the World Migratory Bird Day for this year. These birds get lost during the night, and they become exhausted because they start flying around the lamplights, and then they just fall on the streets of the cities, and they can become an easy prey to dogs or cats that may be unsupervised in cities. And there is a really big campaign now that is studying the impact of light pollution in seabirds. So we are very proud to have this species as part of the World Migratory Bird Day because most species that have been selected in previous years were from North America. So with the expansion of the program, we've been able to include migratory birds even from other continents. And so that way we are able to expand the knowledge of the educators that celebrate the World Migratory Bird Day every year. And also we give them a sense of belonging because these are birds that everyone can find in a specific community. So how do we use the illustrations that Omar made for us? We use them in the educational materials that are printed out and they are digitalized and we can facilitate them to everyone. So these illustrations, you can also download them from Trello in our resources section and you can create your own flyers and your own invitations as long as you include the credit of Omar because he was the one that created these images to celebrate the World Migratory Birthday. So feel free to use them. Just don't forget to give the credit and we'll be very excited to see how each of you uses your creativity to use these images. All of these digital resources are available in our Trello, and I'm going to leave the link here in the slide. And I don't know, Leticia, if you can help me put that in the chat, I would be very thankful so the listeners can go straight to the link. So in this section of resources, you're going to find messages, videos, coloring pages, graphs, and also we have a session that is called the resource library where you're going to be able to find logos, the poster, coloring pages, and also a template to be able to create a flyer for your event. With these illustrations, we create a series of materials that we can donate to educators that go to communities to motivate young people to learn about birds. One of our most popular resources are stickers, pins that can include the name of the bird in English or Spanish and the conservation theme. And also another way of using the art that we've designed this year is the coloring pages that are bilingual as well. And so I know that there are more people that are going to be interested in being the future artists for the World Migratory Birthday. So we want to invite everyone to participate in the invitation that we have each year. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to contact us. And in the next slide, we're going to share a couple of points that you should cover to participate and how we help the organization to obtain or to select the artist that would work best for the conservation theme of that year. So to all the artists that are listening today, it's just enough to show us a portfolio that has a range of examples that show us your talent. And this portfolio is going to be assessed by the directors and advisors of the organizations around the world. And when the style works with the conservation theme, and then we proceed to contact the selected artist. And so we let them know about the conservation theme. In this case is light pollution and some details about how birds should be appearing in the poster or in the flyer, or elements that we would like to have present in order to highlight the theme. So we should always be very flexible to change. The World Migratory Birthday is constantly being reviewed by educators, scientists, social communicators. And so we hope to collect all of this advice to find the best direction for the campaign. And we have a limited time to deliver the products or the materials. And we know that this is the part that that pressures or pushes the artists more, because we know that it takes time to do an illustration, to do their work. But we also understand that a campaign needs to be very dynamic in order to maintain that momentum and staying connected. So flexibility in time is also important, and to be available for constant review. As you can see, it's very easy. You just need to send a message with your information to these 3 emails that you see on the slide: Environment for the Americas, to Susan Bonfield, who's the General Director, or you can send the email directly to me so we can start looking into your art. So we also want to thank all the artists that have already participated in previous years, and we wanted to share with you the photos of all of them, because each of them has given a different style to the World Migratory Birthday, and each of them has a very unique style, and we are happy to have these artists across the years. We hope to have a more diverse range. We hope to find different styles. We are not just trying to find manual illustrations. It doesn't have to be with watercolors or anything. We've also worked with digital illustrators that have helped us in different campaigns. So finally, we would like to remind you of the contacts so you can know who to get in touch with to coordinate your event for the World Migratory Birthday. Here you can also find the social networks in which we are. So Catherine Rubiano is in the United States and Canada. I am in South America. Laura is in the Caribbean. Leticia in Central America, and Daniela Sousa in Mexico. So I want to thank all the allies that support the World Migratory Birthday each year. And this year, I want to thank you once again for your constant support. So I would like to open the Q&A session. We also have Omar present here. Omar, I would like to talk to you a little bit and explore how your experience was when illustrating the birds for this year's visual materials. So I'm going to let everyone see you. This is Omar Custodio. He is joining from the field. So Omar, what you want to mention about your experience, and then we can open the Q&A session so that people can ask whatever they want. Omar, your microphone is muted. Okay, can you hear me? Hello, good afternoon. I'm Omar Custodio. I'm working in Peru, in Lima, and I am not in such a remote area. However, I'm moving around during the morning, and there are places in which I don't have any signal for now. I'm at lunch. Here is 2:30 p.m. And I'm just taking a break to be able to talk to you guys and let you know a little bit about my process, to elaborate the illustrations that you can see in the poster. I don't know, maybe you also have some concerns. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. And also I wanted to invite you, there are artists out there, like Miguel said, that would like to be the artist of next year for the World Migratory Birthday celebration. I remember back in 2020 when I discussed this with Miguel. Well, it was the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. And I was very happy that I was selected, to be honest. And well, I'm a biologist and I am specialized in ornithology. And for over 10 years, I've been working with topics or themes like environmental assessments or themes related to flora and fauna. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. Since 2013, in a Congress, I remember it was about seabirds in, well, I don't remember what number of the Congress it was, but it was in Santa Marta. And I was brave enough to make copies. I made illustration of 8 shorebirds. All of them were shorebirds, and I finally was brave enough to make some copies and sell them. And I did very well. And it was specifically about shorebirds and seabirds. So everybody there loved the species that I illustrated. So it was very beautiful to participate in that kind of event. And I did very well because I sold most of my illustrations. And there I met Fran Suarez, who's a Peruvian biologist. And back then he used to work in NMSE, which is an NGO. And they were going to have an artist safari, and he invited me. And they were not inviting biologists, they were inviting artists that uh, focused on painting nature. And that was very gratifying because to me, it was the first time that I was going to paint out there in the field. So it was the first time that I was going to illustrate out in the field. So we visited a couple of places in the northern part of Peru, and I visited places that maybe as a biologist by myself, I would have never been able to go. For example, El Macizo de Yescas, which is now a natural reserve. That was one of the most amazing sites I've ever been able to visit and to take notes to be able to illustrate later. Then after that, there was an art show, and I started to get in, into illustration more and more, bird illustration specifically. And now I consider it another job in which I'm more experienced as illustrators. As illustrator, for example, I also made the cover for a book of a friend of mine who's a biologist. I've also published in different scientific publications, and also you can find my artwork in hotels or hostels that focus on conservation. Also, I work in the Ornithology Center, where we focus on disseminating interest for and knowledge about nature. That is one of our goals, and we've created visual materials to for specific conservation topics. And for example, also illustrations for a magazine that we have. Sorry, there's a question. Well, I have a question. If somebody would wanted to get in touch with you to maybe commission an illustration or just to see if something had happened, where can we find you? Well, I started to focus more on illustration last year. Well, actually, because of the pandemic, I've uploaded most of my work to Instagram. I have an account. It's Omar Custodio Art on Instagram, and you can get in touch with me through my account. And now I'm working on getting my website to be able to show the work that I've done and my experience, and also to keep having a conversation about future collaborations. Yes, that's in the chat. Omar Custodio Art, that's where I'm most active. You can also write to me on Facebook. I think you can find me as Omar Custodio there as well. But honestly, it's faster via Instagram. And it says, it's beautiful artwork this year. What is the species that was most difficult to illustrate? Well, I would say seabirds. I know about seabirds. However, I've never done a trip to open sea. Here in Lima, there is a program that focuses on a species of seabirds. And Usually the birds come nesting to the shore, but I thought that this year's theme, because that species, like you well mentioned, the lights of the city affects their trajectories. So sometimes they get lost, and these seabirds also fall to the sea, to the cities, and people think they're pigeons. So we worked on a project about these birds, and the project has been very successful since 2015, and it was very successful thanks to social networks because it became very popular, and then the people themselves started to communicate the message that these were not pigeons, these were seabirds that were getting lost. And that's how I started to interact with the project. And the leader of this project approached me. I'm not exactly sure how. So I ended up doing a lot of pictures for her. And every time that I have a bird in my hand, I try to take notes and to take pictures so I can use them later on for illustration. So I do have in file a lot of those pictures related to that project. However, seabirds, I've never seen, nor I have interacted directly with them. So I think that's why those have been the most difficult ones to illustrate. The warblers, not that much, because we do get those species here. And something very exciting for us is that last Sunday, we saw a migratory species. So we are already celebrating the World Migratory Bird Day because we saw a warbler that it is not easy to see in the area where we are. And we were able to see it in Lima. And we took pictures and we made a lot of videos. So warblers have very specific colors, and it's more about the shape. And it's the same position in most of them. I think seabirds are the ones that are the most difficult to portray. Great. So it seems to be, well, we thought that the colorful ones were going to be more difficult, but it happens the other way around. We have another question here. We have another question from Maria Guadalupe. Go ahead, Miguel. Sorry, sometimes my connection slows down. So Maria Guadalupe Castorena says, congratulations, Omar. I honestly love seabirds as well. And each year I try to promote counting. How were you able to integrate or to create your portfolio? And how did you feel when you were selected? And do you give classes? I am Guadalupe from Aguascalientes, Mexico. Seabirds, well, since I arrived to Lima, the seabird nesting project was beginning in 2011, I remember. And it started in 2012 and it was until 2016. So we were working with shorebirds for 4 years. So all of that experience that I've had with shorebirds has been very rewarding professionally, but even more in illustration, because shorebird and seabirds are the most cryptical ones because they don't have that many colors. So they do change their feathers a little bit, but in the northern part of the Americas, because that's where they breed. But here in South America, they have not that many colors. So what we needed to differentiate, talking about illustration and design, was first how we were going to identify the shorebirds. Is it going to be through the shapes? So that is the first step, to see the composition of the body of the shorebirds and their you need to make an effort to get to know more about the birds, talking about anatomy and how they are in the inside to be able to illustrate them better. So all of that knowledge was very productive regarding getting to know the species better, to be able to identify them better. And actually, shorebirds to biologists are a headache to identify, even if you have a lot of experience, because it's about observing and paying attention all of the time, because there are species that are very, very similar. However, their behavior is what differentiates them. So all of that knowledge was fundamental when illustrating them. So shorebirds are a very beautiful group of birds that I really enjoyed to illustrate or to take notes. And a personal project is that, well, I already started, is to have a guide of shorebirds in Peru, because I think that it is not going to be limited only to Peru. A lot of species are going to be present in South America as well. And we also, for example, last year we observed that there are 3 more species that are present here, and it depends on how fast the articles are published, but we do have evidence of 3 new species. So there is a lot of interest around shorebirds in learning their behaviors, learning to identify them, etc. So what was the second question? Sorry. How did you feel when you were selected as this year's artist, and if you teach illustration? Well, as I mentioned, I participated in 2020 for the poster in 2021, but I didn't win. And then I participated last year as well. And now I won. And Miguel already knows, because I got very excited. I didn't even know how to react until I read the email. I told Priscilla, my wife, I didn't say anything. I just showed her, the document where that said, "You are this year's artist." And I didn't understand very well the scope of being selected. I thought of it just as another job, like, okay, I'm going to illustrate the poster. So I did know that, but suddenly when a lot of people from different countries in the Americas start to write to me, and I start to get more followers, and they start to write me more directly, then I understood that it is about connecting people in other places through birds. We have a group of shorebirds in Peru. It's called Playeras de Peru. You can find in Instagram. It's an Instagram account that focuses on shorebirds and the habitats where we can find them. So Priscilla and I have always said that shorebirds connect us, because they don't know any political borders, and they're still here, and we can see it here. Right now, I'm looking at seagulls, for example, that are getting together to start migrating to the south. And it is beautiful to know that these birds are going to travel south, or the shorebirds that I've seen here are going to travel very, very far away. So it is very interesting to get to know that. It was very exciting. And every time that I connect to someone new that arrives to my profile through the illustrations that I made for the migratory birthday, is very exciting. I think every day is exciting. And no, so far I haven't taught any illustration, but I am thinking of teaching one. I've taken illustration classes before. I usually work with watercolors. I've tried to use other techniques and other media. However, I feel like the watercolors are my thing, and I feel very comfortable with watercolors. I've taken watercolor classes in general to learn techniques. For example, it's all about methodology. Something that you did that maybe took a long time, you can learn a trick to do it faster, and you learn to focus on the quality of the watercolors, the quality of the paper. All of that I've learned on the go. So for example, there is a very talented illustrator here in Peru, and ever since he found out that I was doing illustration as well, he helped me out a lot. And so it did helped me in getting to know the materials and in my experience. And so far, so I haven't taught illustration, but I have that itch of being a teacher and to provide my perspective as a biologist and say that the birds have that shape because of something, and you have to understand them from the inside, how their skeleton looks like, how the muscle are arranged, why are their legs that long. So understanding beyond the final composition, understanding why the bird has the body that it has. And I would like to share that experience in a workshop. And I don't know, I think I'm going to do a survey online to see if a lot of people would sign up. So that might happen very soon. Excellent. Well, I'm sure that a lot of people would sign up because even myself, I want to illustrate birds sometimes, and I write to artists that we get to know so they can teach me one or two tips. So we are about to wrap up the webinar. I want to share with all the attendees that very soon we would launch the global poster, because what we saw in the presentation is a poster for the Americas, but Omar was also in charge of illustrating other species from Europe, Africa, and Asia. And I think this was the first time that Omar saw this species. So we were able to create a macro poster that we will launch very soon in our social networks. So follow Omar's work. I left his account in the chat. And also let other artists know that they can also be the artists for the World Migratory Bird Day and to take the most advantage of it. We know that artists also acquire a unique experience with this program. So we are really thankful for all the efforts. Over here. Well, Omar, I don't know if you have a last comment to share before leaving. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining. And thank you to Environment for the Americas for picking me, for liking my work. Thank you, Miguel, for being the connection or the main connection to that experience. And I would recommend everyone to sign up. Follow Environment for the Americas in their networks because they share a lot of things about the poster and information about birds overall. And so we are very excited for the World Migratory Bird Day. Oh, well, also greetings to the people who are listening from Saudi Arabia. And thank you so much for joining to this session. Thank you, Claudia, for this translation. And we hope that you can join us in our last webinar next week so we can be fully ready for the World Migratory Bird Day on the second Saturday of May. So if there is no further questions, then we are going to conclude the webinar, and thank you everyone for attending. Okay. Thank you for attending. See you next week for the last webinar about every species of the World Migratory Bird Day 2022. We're going to explore different aspects of the light history trail, how light pollution is impacting this bird during the night. And this will be with this last webinar, and you will be ready for World Migratory Bird Day 2022. Here I am in Venezuela. It's a big storm right now, but we finished the webinar with internet, so great. Okay, muchas gracias a todos por atendernos en este webinar y esperamos. Thank you everyone for attending. We hope to see you next week. Don't forget to register for the last session so you can have all of the details for the World Migratory Bird Day species that we have for this year. See you then.